Everyone. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Great to see you all. We're going to just wait a couple of minutes to let everyone sign up and or get access in, and then we'll get started. So give us a minute for everyone to join and get their connections in place, and we'll go from there. So great to see so many people here, and we'll get started in literally 10-15 seconds. So hope you've all enjoying the lovely British weather we've got outside. No wonder you need Wi-Fi if you've got weather like this externally, but there we go. But no, looking forward to chatting and talking to share some ideas today, which will be really useful and helpful. So for you all. So okay, so I think we've got most people coming through, which is great. So what we'll do is we'll get started, and let me do some introductions and talk a little bit about what we're going to cover off today. Today is all, as I say, great to have you all here. Today's all around delivering a 5-star experience at your resort, and it's a presentation by Landal. Ricky, well, I'll do some introductions in a moment to Ricky and to Ben. But also ourselves at Camping Connect. As I say, really welcome you. Great to be here. Thanks for giving up your time. We appreciate you got lots on at the moment and stuff to do in terms of the parks, even though Christmas is coming up. And so we welcome. I'm hopefully going to share some ideas that are going to give you some insights into what you can do for the next season as well. So as I say, my name's James White. I'm the host. I've recently joined Camping Connect within the team, helping them in a number of different areas of the business. But more importantly, I'm just here to host the webinar. We've got Ricky Dent, who's the UK Operations and Franchise Manager at Landal GreenParks. So Ricky's going to be the main speaker today and share his experience of building and growing 5-star experiences across a huge range of different organisations that he's worked with. Ricky, I met Ricky a few months back, and I loved the first line that he shared, which I'm sure he'll share with you in a moment, about the degree he got. So, which I thought was always a fun thing. But Ricky's a veteran of the industry and has spoken at lots of different locations and events, which is great. So it's great to have him sharing today. And also got Ben Griffiths, who's the founder at Camping Connect. And I'll just do a brief introduction in terms of, as I say, Ben will do a brief introduction on Camping Connect and who we are, if you don't know anything about Camping Connect and what we do. And as I say, we're going to try and sort of clear this up in about 40 minutes time. We're going to have some times to focus on questions as well. But a couple of things of what to expect, what we've got planned, a little bit of behind the scenes insight into how top tier parks operate. So Ricky's going to share a number of bits of experience of what he's done from a parks perspective, and how the guest experience that really truly defines a 5-star stay, because we were just talking about it beforehand, and whether is the relationship that you have with someone transactional, or is it an experience? And Ricky's going to share a number of his stories and thoughts and experience in that area as well. And also there we're going to share a few practical improvements for your team from an operations and digital perspective that can help you really achieve what you want to in 2026, and some real life examples from parks across the UK and Europe where they're doing this at the moment to achieve what they want to. So let me pass on to Ben Griffiths. Ben's the founder of Camping Connect. So Ben, over to you.
Thank you very much, James. Thanks everyone for joining us. Merry Christmas. Hope it's going well. So Camping Connect, a lot of you have probably heard about us. Well, hopefully. We started in 2011 from a basic need to provide Wi-Fi to a very important caravan in the Gower, which was mine and my family's. Growing ever frustrated, or more frustrated, with the lack of signal, Wi-Fi or connectivity was non-existent on site. So me and my business partner Rodri decided to go about and change this. So we installed Wi-Fi across the site. It then became known throughout the park that it was available. The Gower was quite a small place, word spread, and we thought we had found a little gap in the market in our geographical area, but we quickly sort of developed a lot of parks in South Wales, deployed a lot of networks. But for us, it really sort of went UK wide when we joined the BH and HPA, Harper now, and we met parks from all over the country, all struggling with the same issues, which were at the time connectivity. We picked up a lot of parks in Lincolnshire and Skegness, naturally, because it's quite a high density place. So we set up another office over there, our East Coast office. And up until 2023, we grew without funding, slowly and steadily. In 2023, we decided to join forces with a company called Pasman Group, who not very well known in the UK, but across Europe they are quite a big entity. They employ 250 people. They've got offices predominantly in France, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, and Italy. And they provide not only Wi-Fi, but they provide hospitality TVs, IPTV, and Chromecast. So we see the partnership as a way to leverage their additional solutions and bring them into the UK holiday market, so we can continue working with parks on helping them provide the experience that they want to their guests on site. So yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell. And then these are just the quick overview of the products that we can offer as Camping Connect by Pasman. What they've really allowed us to do is look at providing the full in-room entertainment or in-caravan entertainment suite, from the Wi-Fi inside the caravan to the TV, a smart TV, an IPTV system where you can have a menu, and also Chromecast, so people can use the devices they already have on their phone instead of logging into TVs and then forgetting to log out. So that's where we are.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you, Ben. And we are the starter, as it were, before the main event. So we're going to bring Ricky into things now. But look, as I say, please, as I say, do stay. Yeah, we've got a little offer at the end to stay for a couple of things which will hopefully be finding really useful. But without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to the reason that most people wanted to be here today is to listen to Ricky Dent. So Ricky, over to you.
Thanks. Not a lot of pressure there. I mean, sorry, but I enjoy it. Thanks for that, Ben. I've actually met Ben a few times for a number of years, and actually working alongside now Camping Connect at some of our Landal resorts. And I've always been a good advocate of yours, and actually the product and the service you provide has been fantastic. So you do owe me that 20 quid now, but at least we can now start from there.
Your Christmas present just doubled in size.
Fantastic.
So me, so I've been in the industry a long time, 23 years in hospitality management, whether that be through hotels, through resorts, through lots of different things. I started my career in food and beverage, and worked my way up, and all different avenues from there. And it's been a strange and a fun journey to landing all the way up here now at Landal. Part of that journey was having a conversation with my grandma, who I was the first of her grandchildren to never go to university. I was the disappointment. I was the person that was going into hospitality while my cousins were going into proper jobs and proper paid and all of this stuff. So not to leave on a sour note at Christmas, but when she passed, there was a little bit of money. And I thought, do you know what, Gran? I will do exactly what you asked, and I will go to uni, but I'll go to a uni that I want to go to. So I studied at Disney, and I graduated from the Disney Institute. So I generally have a signed bit of paper by a mouse to say that I don't really know what it says I can do, but it says that I can create magic, apparently, pull rabbits out of a hat and try and make guests feel a certain way when they're on their resort or at their hotel. And I think that's the key thing that I took away from those years studying, was there's a real magic and a real essence inside when you go to Disney as a child, as an adult. And how do you explain that? How can you bring that out? How can you make that possible across a caravan park? How can you make it across a holiday park? So that's what I've been spending the last kind of 10 years of my career doing and trying to talk about, which has been very lucky. I've managed to win multiple awards. The very kind picture there is of 2 weeks ago, where at the British Travel Awards, the Landal team did pick up a winning award, which was excellent. Great for us all, and to show that actually the hard work that we are doing is paying off. So I'm very proud of that. The picture there is not of my dad, that is of my colleague Robbie. Probably more well known than I am in the industry, so I drag him in for pictures to boost my likes.
Fantastic.
So one thing, I suppose, why do I talk about this? Is it important that I've been here 23 years? Is it important that I've got a Disney Institute? Is it important that you get awards? No. Anything that we do in this industry If you want to elevate it, it comes from passion. And that will come from passion from every single person that works within your team. It's passion to get the guests there. It's passion to incorporate the guests in everything you do. So unlike other industries where you can train and you can get that qualification, then it'll just come naturally. That isn't this industry. You could have the best product, you could have the best Wi-Fi, but if you don't have the passion behind it, it'll just sit there and it won't become as successful as you all want it to be. So that's kind of me. If you don't know who Landal are, we are a holiday park operator across Europe. We work across 13 different countries across Europe. We have 297 resorts. Last year, so this is 2024, we welcomed 6.1 million guests, equated to 28.3 million overnight stays, and we employ 6.6 thousand in people. So as you can imagine, that's very large. So what we try and do is, it's great to have this very large business, but we don't want to feel corporate. We don't want to feel like this big machine. It's all about being personable and being that touch base for everybody. But this gives you an idea, if you didn't know who Landal are, who we are. Big question. What do we all want from our resorts? There is one thing and one thing only that we do this for. There's one thing and one thing only. It's not for the extra grey hairs. It's not for the stress. As much as I'll tell you it's for the smile we see on guest's face, it probably isn't. The reason and the one thing we want is revenue. We can all deny it. We can all say it isn't, but the reason we work, the reason we do things, the reason we have these businesses is to generate revenue. So how is delivering a 5-star experience translate into revenue? Now, for me, revenue and looking at driving and how we can increase that is really the importance of NPS. NPS is our customer feedback. NPS is our telling us where we are and what we're doing. So if we look at a base level score with NPS, if I just work backwards, I'm going to treat everyone as if they don't know, so I apologize when you do. NPS is a metric to score your success rate. It will be scored by your guests when they return. If they score a 1 to 4, not great. If they score a 9 to 10, perfect. They're the only scores that matter. You add all of the 9 to 10s, or the 1s to 4s, you subtract, that gives you your NPS score. Now, a good level for NPS, 28 to 48. That is what a good resort receives. From my knowledge in the industry, when I say a good resort, I mean it's very well laid out. It has nice accommodation, relevant facilities to the size it is, nice few touch of luxury items and furnishings. This is your standard of what you would expect. And from this, you would get a very good level of AWR. Now, my point being, how do I increase that? So where am I going? How do we get a little bit higher? Where's we notice that guests will score higher is cleanliness. That seems to be a big driver for them. So the resort, again, may be nicely laid out, but if it isn't clean, if it isn't perceived to be really clean, then you're not going to get those scores. By having them clean, natural increase year on year of 3 to 5%. We've seen it, we've documented it, and we can prove it just by paying that attention to detail. And this is where staff and having the right team behind you that have that passion, they have to go in, and we know some of the states of these resorts that we go to, some of the way that the caravans and the lodges are left and the rooms are left. It's not a pleasant job. These, if you look at how much difference you can get AWR by looking after that housekeeping team, trust me, you'd look after them further. So, okay, we've done the cleaning, we've got there. I want to broach the next thing. Now, I've said this before meeting Ben, before any connection with Camping Connect. It's about Wi-Fi, and even more so in the last 12 months. Because, well, actually probably a bit longer than 12 months, since COVID. When kind of COVID hit and everything was then home-based, everything was then working from home, and children suddenly, the importance of being able to reach on YouTube and their gaming, and everybody has a control, has something in their device that they need to connect to the Wi-Fi. And if you're going on holiday, we have spoken for many years about staycations. Great, you're going away, you want to break free, but my 8-year-old don't want to break free from his iPad. I mean, my wife don't want to break free from her mobile phone, so I've still got to have that, and I've still got to have them all working at exactly the same time that I want to catch up on my Netflix documentaries. They all work together. So it's important that we don't just have Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi which is capable to have multiple devices in the same area. Our resorts are, some of them are very remote. I think there's 20% of the Landal resorts don't even get mobile signal. So if you can't get mobile signal, Wi-Fi is even more important. Even more important going forward is communicating with your guests. At Landal, we have the Landal app, which will feed to guests any information about the resort, about this, that, and the other, about stuff that's going on. You don't have the Wi-Fi, you can't do that. You can't capture it. You can't add additional spend while they're on holiday. So we've noticed even that you get the good Wi-Fi, 5 to 8% increase again. So we're looking at scores from 56 to 70 is giving us 8% on top of what we were getting before. This is just the very basics of how you can build up. And you should all really be using the NPS is how I've worked and always worked to look, how do I get to the next step? The biggest step for me is hospitality. Now, a resort which has really good hospitality scores a 70 plus. It's very interesting to say what is hospitality. We'll go into a few things of that in a minute, but really good hospitality is your biggest driver. It's the biggest way I can increase your AWR. That goes from 10 to 15%, and it's about welcoming people. It's about making people feel empowered when they come to your resorts. So real simple, if we look at your NPS, an increase of 15 points can equate to a 28% increase in your AWR. Now, I've shown you 3 simple, what I would call simple things. Now, Ben may disagree. The most expensive there is probably your Wi-Fi, okay? That's probably going to be your biggest cost outlay. But for 28% increase already, by doing these 3 things, and then if you can get them to that level, we can have a further conversation next year, a further conversation where you can keep adding the tweaks. But the one thing you don't have to tweak is the Wi-Fi. So the one outlay you've got, great, you're future-proofing yourself to add stuff in the future. You don't want to have to go back and do these things. That's when it becomes difficult. That's when you're not seeing the great profit and the great thing in your back pocket from the increases we're getting AWR each year. So the big thing, you know, I'll leave Ben to talk about the Wi-Fi. I'll leave housekeeping to talk about the cleanliness. I'll talk to you about hospitality. So a few questions. What does hospitality mean at your resort, your campsite, your venue? Do you understand hospitality? You know, what does it mean? Do you understand it? Do you train hospitality at your resort? Does your team believe in hospitality? And I suppose the last question is, what is hospitality? Now, every single one of us on this webinar will have probably a different answer to this. But it's one thing when I talk to owners and GMs and we sit down, and these are the questions that I ask. It is, what does hospitality mean at your resort? And it's the main thing I get is a difference between what I would call a transaction or hospitality. Because they'll say to me, "Oh yeah, they're really hospitable. When they come in, we'll check them in and we'll make sure they're gone, and then we make sure they have a good stay." That's a transaction. That's someone coming to you, you giving them what they need is the key, and then leaving. A very small tweak for that hospitality would be, yes, when they welcome them, I instantly know their name. I make sure that all of their party is there. If they've got a pet, we've got a little pet pack for them. If they've got children, we've made sure we already pre-know their name of the children as a little gift for them in their accommodation. When they arrive, we walk them to the door of their accommodation. We show them through the map. We make sure they're okay. That's then gone from a transaction to hospitality. But there's lots of different avenues. So I'm going to try my hardest to simplify hospitality inside 60 seconds. So how do I do that? So I'm going to imagine I'd like you all to imagine this. First date, first time you are welcoming someone back to your place. What would you do? Well, I'm hoping you'd do some of these things. You'd cook for them. You would clean your entire house. You'd ask them what they like, don't like, because it could be quite awkward if you decided to cook this incredible steak meal and they told you that they were a vegan. I mean, to be fair, the date might not go much further with me if they were a vegan, but I, too much liking my meat. Allergies, you'd make sure you check. You might go all out and get some flowers and make sure that it looks nice. You'd put on the right music. You'd know what their music is, or you'd have mood setting music. You'd light some candles. You would set it. And most importantly, after I've had a meeting with Ben, and I know, Ben, you could take this advice, you'd shower, right? You'd make sure that your house is clean, you are clean, and you have set up. You are ready. And if anyone disagrees with a lot of this, happy to have this conversation afterwards. But I believe you're inviting someone back. That's what you do. Why do you do it? You're doing it to set the mood and to deliver an experience. All of those things are for those two things. You are trying to set the mood. The mood you are trying to set is you're trying to show them you. You're trying to impress. And you're trying to deliver an experience which makes them think, wow, this person cares, this person understands, and this person wants to be with me. So yeah, we can roll through. So again, like I've just said, you want them to have a good time. You want them to come back, and you want them to tell their friends. There's nothing better than when you hear on the grapevine, oh, I heard that so-and-so came back to yours and that was great and the dinner was fantastic and this, that, and the other. Great, makes you feel good. It's what you want to hear. What wouldn't you do? Well, I'm hoping you wouldn't just go, all right, some food there. Eat it, let me know when you're done and I'll clean up after you. Well, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll just kind of stand here being a little bit disinterested while you eat and while you finish. Just, yeah, it's all right, isn't it? I'll just stick it on a plate and go from there. I haven't really cleaned up. You'll have to excuse the dirty plates and the dirty things there. Oh, yeah, I haven't had a shower. These are exactly the same thing. It's still a date. It's still you inviting someone over. But on the left-hand side, believe you've made an effort because you want all of that. You want them to come back. You want them to have a good time. On the right-hand side, you've just done some simple things. You've made a transaction. But what's the difference? We skip on?
Yep.
What you're saying to them is you're saying, I'm going to give you all of the energy I have. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you feel a certain way. It's all in me. I'm not relying on the food for you to be impressed, which is good if you've ever had my cooking. I'm not relying on my apartment or the way it's designed. I'm here as a human being giving you the very best version of myself to make sure that you feel a certain way. And that is hospitality. When we look at that through our own resorts, we don't start relying on the accommodation, the landscaping. That all should be a given. That's our minimum level of a good AWR. Giving someone the best version of us every time is hospitality. That's your extra scores. That's your extra 10% in AWR. All of these things. And this is how everyone, when they're working in our industry, needs to be able to feel. Are they giving every guest all of the energy that they have to make sure they remember? Now, one line that I will always use is a guest will forget what you said. A guest will forget what you did. But a guest will never forget how you made them feel. And that's what will make them come back.
Fantastic. Incredible, Rick. I mean, some incredible stuff you're sharing there in terms of around how to to do that. Well, by the way, if you've got a question, feel free to that. We're going to do some questions maybe at the end, but if you've got a question of what Ricky said there, I'm going to maybe ask one, and maybe a few others might ask as well. Just want to talk about that average weekly rate, Ricky, and the percentage gains for that over a period of time. If there's a park at the moment or someone watching this that says, okay, well, obviously, that starting point is to, they want to get those rates up with costs rising. Are there any 2 or 3 practical tips you would sort of say to someone, sort of, even if they're at that place where they're not even measuring NPS maybe at the moment, or they're not measuring their scores? Is there anything practically they should be doing sort of to start off with in the new year to get this going?
Yeah, it's human touch points. Again, if I look it back, we entered again. COVID messed this industry up because it went to, oh, they don't want to see us, they don't want to have our interaction, they just want to come and have their holiday. It's not the case. Everything has a place and everything has a need, but we need to step away from being a transactional industry. And the way that I will say it is, make as many touch points with your guests as you possibly can. Now, if you go to a McDonald's, you have 2 touch points. It's not, you go to the drive-through, you'll order it, you'll pick it up, you'll eat the food. That's it. That's done. It's a transaction. You go to a nice restaurant, they welcome you, they'll sit you down, they'll check on you, they'll take the order, they'll deliver the food, they'll bring you the food, they'll check up on you, there's all of those different touch points that if there's a problem, if there's something, you can feedback straight away. Because what will happen is, if there isn't something right, because as we know, they definitely don't put enough ketchup in Ben's chicken nuggets. By the time Ben's driven off, he's fuming. It's an issue. He has to drive back. Kids are kicking off. He goes in. There's all those. We're actually, touch points would have stopped that. Just the simple, everything all right? Oh, have you got everything? Just check that bag before you drive off. Oh, I just need some extra ketchup. Yeah, no, you go, no worries. Elevating that experience. And it's those little touches. You'll find many years ago, there was always a saying of people buy from people. Kind of true. People buy from emotion. People believe in emotion, and people remember emotion. So you want to take those tiny little gains, speak to your guests. And I mean, really speak to them. Sit with them. We have very small resorts where we do a Tuesday coffee run. It's complimentary coffee for every guest. So on check-in, we'll ask them what their favorite coffee is. Do they have a latte, a cappuccino, whatever? And I just say to them, oh, tomorrow morning, about 10 o'clock, I'll drop one into you. It's a slight gesture. For a resort, it costs you pennies. But the value, because they've already stayed a night, they'll tell you what is great, they'll tell you what they didn't like, and they'll tell you what they can improve, what you could improve. If you take that feedback and run with it, that's how you can have little incremental increases on how you do it.
Great points, and some brilliant practical examples there of where people can sort of do that whatever their site is. What are your also thoughts, Ricky, around sort of probing beneath the surface? Because we all know we're very British, right? We all say, if someone says, is everything okay? Yes, it's fine. How do you go about sort of training the team to really sort of probe beneath the surface and really spot whether someone's sort of really, fine, or actually whether there is a problem, but they're just not sharing it with you? How do you guys sort of go about sort of encouraging and sharing that?
You have to understand your guest. Not everyone's going to do it. Not everyone's going to share what they're doing with you. However, when I was very lucky to work and set up a business called The Pig, which is a restaurant with rooms, and everything was based there around your guest. And what we did was made sure that we asked what that guest was doing that day. Now, especially if they've got a family. And we brought this into Landal. So if you see them in the morning, oh, what are your plans? What are you doing today? Oh, we're going to go down to the beach. We're going to make some sandcastles, blah, blah, blah. Cool. You say, make sure you get that ice cream from the one round the corner. It's where the locals go, not where the tourists go. It's slightly cheaper. And you've got that slight win and that slight buy-in. When they come back, we then would write this on a sheet of paper. So you'd have all the lodge numbers down, guest names, and you would just write Lodge 6, going to the beach, building sandcastles, told them about the ice cream. Now, if you're not on shift that next day, that acts as a simple handover for whoever is working that next day. Or it acts as a simple conversation piece in the morning when you've got the team around to say, just so you're aware, that lodge went to the beach. If anyone sees them, see how it goes. So when the maintenance guy or the hot tub guy is checking and they come out, he goes, oh, did you go to the beach yesterday? Do you enjoy it? They feel like you care. They feel like you've listened. Then they'll start to tell you more. That's when you will always tell your mate if his shirt is atrocious. You won't tell someone you don't know that they're dressed really badly. Make them your friend. Make them the mate that will allow them to give you information that will help you improve your result.
Fantastic. And by the way, if anyone's got a question, please either raise your hand or let us know. Lara will let me know to see if anyone has got a question. But one other question for me, maybe before we just move on to the another sort of final stage of the webinar is, there's obviously, we've seen at the moment in hospitality the costs of rising to employ people, cost of energy. There's a lot of challenges for a lot of park owners at the moment and as you said initially, they want to grow revenue. Any ideas or methods on what people can do to sort of drive, and Ben, feel free to chip in here as well. Any ideas or methods on what people can do to sort of try and drive indirect sales? Because like you say, once they're on the park with you, that's obviously where you can potentially, if you like, maximize, not maximize sounds a bit weird, but increase your revenue per guest. Any ideas or thoughts around what people can do there as well as, giving them a great experience, but to also help increase your revenue?
There was a great stat that I read post summer, and it said that, I can't remember the percentage, it was real high, 90% of people that go on holiday in the UK spend the same while they're away that they spent on the holiday. Wow. So if they spent £1,000 booking the holiday, they're likely to spend £1,000 while they're away. So if we have that mindset, what proportion of that can we get? Depending on the size of our resort, if we've got multiple restaurants and facilities, great, we could say we want 90% of that. Landal isn't built that way. Landal is built as a resort to explore. Okay, we're not a Center Parks. We don't welcome you in, tell you to park your car 4 miles away and say, right, you've got a bite for the next week and you've got to spend every penny here. We want to be in locations that you want to explore. I want to show you the area that you're coming to. I want to be proud of where this resort is. So then I've got to be realistic. I'm not going to get 90%. Can I get 40%? Can I get 20%? And how do I do that? Well, information-led. And it might be information-led pre-arrival. If they're booking direct and you're quite remote, the nearest Tesco's is miles away, there's all those problems. Having little things... When you went before that, do you want a breakfast pack? Do you want to would you like me to arrange a barbecue pack for you? Would you like all of these little things? And then while they're there, if we've got a bar or a restaurant, how are we going to entice them? Now, for me, once they're on resort, it's all technology and people based. And it's drip feeding. If you can get them, if you can push notifications to them, if you can get them to go, oh, did you know 2 for 1? 2 for 1 on burgers on a Tuesday night. Right, didn't know that. Because we all have email inboxes and we always delete or it gets interfiled because we don't want to constantly see that. So it's about having new and intuitive ways to make sure we're capitalizing on it. And I'm sure Ben can talk better than I can, but we've had this conversation about you can push stuff through to guests when they're logging onto the Wi-Fi, slap in your face, there you go, bang, because everyone needs to get on the Wi-Fi, and if the very first thing that pops up is to tell them that they can get 2 for 1, or there is this at the bar, there's this at the restaurant, there's this facility going on, or there's this entertainment going on, great. It's free advertising straight to them.
I think there's an interesting fact. It comes from a lot of our metrics come from the hotel industry, because I think the holiday park leisure industry is not so metrics driven, but within 7 seconds, someone will connect to the Wi-Fi after entering a hotel room. And if you can serve them a message at that time of entering that tells them about the facilities, the bar, forces them to watch an advert, and also collects their remarketing information for direct marketing, it's a powerful tool. Question I had, Ricky, how long have you had the Landal app for? Is that a recent implementation, or has that been years in the making?
Years in the making. It's been very successful over in Europe. It only came across to the UK this year.
Right, okay, because I know there's other third parties out there like the Holiday Maker app that are, I guess yours has been custom built, but these are sort of more park agnostic. And I think that ability of having a captive audience on site and being able to increase the number of touch points. You have a touch point when they log into the Wi-Fi. They then have another touch point via, a follow-up from the app. I think that is all going to work towards driving that, the top of that almost, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you've got hospitality at the top of it. If you can keep talking to people and driving your business towards a hospitality-focused business, it's I don't think there's one magic golden bullet here, just lots of lead ones, really.
Yeah, and we have to use technology to leverage and to enhance our experience, not to replace. And that's one of the big things that one of the other talks I give is we see so often that, okay, well, we've gone to seamless check-ins on a lot of our resorts through the app. Great. Means, and the first thing you get means I can lose some receptionists. No,
Hmm.
reposition them, use it to elevate, use it to enhance. Because actually, when we've had that massive check-in before and you've had a queue out the door because everyone arrives at 4 o'clock, they all arrive at the same time and it's a pain in the backside. Okay, seamless removes that, but I've lost a touch point. So instead of having 3 or 4 receptionists, I now only need one. The others can be walking around the resort, talking to guests, getting that. And because of the luxury of using technology, as soon as they've scanned or used their digital key to get into the accommodation, it can alert us. So we can conveniently be walking past that lodge as they're unloading the car. Would you like help? Would you like an umbrella? We've done nothing. We've spent no more money. We've got no extra on payroll, but we have suddenly elevated an experience from what we had a year ago. So again, leveraging it, we do the same thing now with our fantastic robot waiters. Not about replacing our waiters, about making sure that our waiting team and our restaurant team can actually be in the restaurant with our guests instead of in the kitchen scraping the dirty plates or going around trying to collect food. The robot brings it to the restaurant floor and it's right there for the guys to serve straight onto a table. So it's again using technology to leverage how we can get better.
And I guess, Ricky, I remember you telling me something as well just before we go. That also gives you that revenue upsell because I remember you saying that actually that enables your waiters and waitresses and the people serving food to maybe ask if the customer wants another drink, or maybe if there's an opportunity to, which is where I guess that those incremental gains on revenue can occur, right, from those small touches when you look at it.
100%. It when we look at our cafes, and we often talk about ways of different service and how do we get it? Do we do a table service? Do we get them to come to the counter? And I've always said, it doesn't matter which one of those two you do, you still need a host of your cafe. Because actually, if you're mid-conversation with someone, you'll let that coffee go, you'll drink it, but you'll still chat. One of you won't necessarily get up. But if someone walks by and goes to clear and just says, should I get you 2 more coffees? The percentage that say yes is dramatic. And when as soon as we implement these hosts, they end up paying for themselves and a whole lot more. And it's because it's that welcoming experience. It's the same as if you go to your friend's house. If they say to you, do you want another coffee? You'll say yes. Unless they're a really good friend, you go, can I have another coffee? Or do you push that? You've started it at the beginning of this conversation. We're British. So we'll sit there and we'd rather have a ridiculously dry mouth than bother to go and ask for it ourselves. But someone offers it, we'll take it.
Amazing. So look,
Yeah.
a couple of slides to finish off with, a little offer as well at the end, which we're going to offer to anyone that's there. But look, please do, if you have got a question for Ricky, this isn't about our questions. If you've come along to the webinar today, Pete, if you want to put it in the chat, Lara will mention what that is. Let us know. But look, a couple of things just wanted to mention around. We talked around technology, and Ricky's mentioned about how Wi-Fi and technology and it is something that's important. We believe at Camping Connect that is the case. And look, one of the things we've sometimes seen is park owners in the past have looked at different models to go and to put things in place. And traditionally, there's this sort of large capital expenditure model where people have got to put thousands of pounds into systems and whatever else. And look, we understand, and we've seen for a while that that is capital intensive at the start and requires obviously that payback over a period of time is there, but it tends to actually be in a position where it costs more upfront. And just some of the things that we'd love to people are thinking and keep in mind. There's some different routes that people are now moving to, which is more what we call this OPEX route, where actually you can be in a position where you can actually put a service in place, and we call it Wi-Fi as a service, much the same way as you do with your mobile phone. It's fully managed, it's predictable, there's no upfront costs. And the numbers that we see are quite significant in terms of the actual return on revenue that can be generated. Now, obviously, different parks have different ideas on what works for them, but we can have seen from a number of parks that we work with where they've got literally a revenue stream that's been generated from Wi-Fi by giving people a taste of something and then been able them to upgrade as they need to. So just something to bear in mind, and over a period of time that can enable you as organizations to really ensure that you can put these services in place and put this money into other key initiatives that you need to, knowing that you've then got a service that's in place for the rest of the time. So look, just before we, finish, any other questions for Ben and Ricky? For Ricky, I've got a couple of others maybe to finish off, but is there anyone else that's got a question? We'd love to know if there is. Now's your time to ask them. Any of the guys their thoughts on how to drive a 5-star experience. Ricky shared some incredible insights already. Any questions from anyone before we look to finish off?
I've got one silly one. How long was your Disney degree, Ricky?
4 years in total.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
Yeah. So you all laugh at this Mickey Mouse degree that I have, but it's some people study to be a doctor just as long.
I can
I know
imagine.
if you speak to my sister, I've got a Mickey Mouse degree as well, and it wasn't even 3 years long. No.
Just out of interest, the final point from my side, Ricky, was there one thing that Disney taught you? I'm obviously the element around how you make people feel, but was there one other thing that whole, because they're known for being the world leaders in this, was there one other thing that you just think is a final sort of message for people on the webinar around that experience that you thought that those guys taught you that made you think, actually, this is something that everyone should be doing?
It's not necessarily what everybody should be doing, but there's one thing, and again, because it's Christmas and everybody's in a nice and happy mood. If a child or adult at Disney comes up to you and cuddles you, so if you're a character, or sometimes it's not even a character, they just need a hug, you're not allowed to let go until they do. And the reason being is you don't know how much that child or that person needs that cuddle at that time.
Wow.
And it's something that is stupid, and it's something which is nonchalant, but everyone that knows me knows I don't do handshakes, I do cuddles, and it's for that reason. And that isn't for everybody, but it always reminds me. And there's times now, and some of the biggest guys, especially the teams that work in maintenance, and I go up, and you just sometimes feel there's just that extra bit. It's tough. The world is tough, and I think that was many years ago, and it can be for a child, it can be for an adult, but sometimes you just need to hold on that little bit longer.
I love that. What a great way to finish. So look, if there are any questions, look, and you may have a question afterwards, we're going to send the recording through to everyone. We've also a copy of a link to the slides we've used today to share those elements. And one of the things that we would also say is that one of the things that we're offering is for anyone with a park that wants to do a bit of a review of your, if you want to check whether your experience is 5-star, then we're going to offer a free one-to-one consultation where we'll identify some gaps in that, maybe in your Wi-Fi and maybe in some other areas that are holding you back from getting those 5-star reviews, and outline the digital operational upgrades that could have an impact on your revenue. So look, if you want to book that in, then do let us know. There's a link there to do that, and we'd love to have a chat to you and talk about that 5-star offering and making sure that you can build on the cleanliness, the Wi-Fi, and obviously then the hospitality, as Ricky's outlined, which is really critical to delivering that. So final question for me before we go, Ricky, how important is, as we move into 2026, we've got obviously the next year, how this stuff is, we've talked about is pivotal, but again, I guess the thing for everyone is, staying ahead of the curve is so important, right? To make sure that you've got that chance to implement something or put something new that's going to work for a park is critical, right? In order to ensure they stay ahead.
Find what's unique to you and elevate it. We don't have, I should have massive Landals. I don't have the money to be the number one in every resort. I don't have it. So what is unique to that resort, and how can I make that special? That's what people talk about.
Brilliant. Karen Mason's got your hand up. So Karen, I don't know if you've got a question, if you wanted to type it, if you wanted to come off mute, and I don't know if we need to do that, Lara, but I think Karen's got a question maybe. You're on mute. Let me see if we can unmute you. It might be a case of...
yeah, I've allowed the mic. Karen, you'll just need to unmute yourself from your end.
Hopefully. If not, maybe you can type it, Karen, and I can ask the question to Ricky, but if we can't hear you, but hopefully we get... This is the interesting thing about doing technology like this, right? It's always...
Hello.
Hi, Karen. We can hear you now.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for today. I'm not a park operator. I met Ricky not so long ago at the NEC, Land, Leisure and Tourism. So my company is my safe place. I'm on a quest to encourage parks to create neurodivergent friendly environments. So when you mention get ahead of the curve, that's exactly what I'm here to do. We generally as an industry follow the main travel industry. We're about 4 years behind. So the likes of TUI, Jet2 this year announced training all their staff on neurodivergence. For those that don't know what that term is, that's for people who are autistic, ADHD, dyslexic, PTSD, the whole umbrella. So I've created lodges, caravans, specifications. I'm doing training, sensory rooms, and I just want parks to get on board with that. And Wi-Fi is definitely up there with our families who are looking to come and stay at our parks.
Right. So, I mean, I think it's a really great point you mentioned, Karen, and thank you for that. I think, and Ricky, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to mention related to that in terms of the experience part.
Yeah, like I say, I've met with Karen, and we're going to be working a lot closer into the new year because there is a real lack of top level accommodation for neurodivergent guests. And a lot of it doesn't actually resolve around the accommodation. It's that hospitality bit.
Yes.
If you don't have the team, you don't have the training, and you don't have the knowledge, you can't provide that safe space. You can't provide the element of how do we elevate that experience. And there's a whole market, in my expertise, a whole untapped market in this industry for that. And so that's why Karen and I will be working a lot closer. And I say to everyone, if it would be a really good conversation to have with her and see where you can make that effect on your results.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, lovely. Thank you, Karen. And I think, like you say, I think it all goes down to that whole idea of the experience, right? It doesn't matter, like you say, whether it's we're obviously neurodivergent, whatever. It's understanding your guest, as Ricky said, and that's it's really key to. If you can understand your guest, then you're going to be in a position to help people from there. So look, look, if there's any other questions, let us know. We want to make sure we finish on time. If you have got a question, you want to send it through to, please reply to an email. We'll make sure that we'll try and see if Ricky can get an answer to that, and we're going to share some of the recordings from today, as I say. And what we'll also be doing is probably just giving you a quick call to see how you enjoyed the webinar. We're going to try and run these on a quarterly basis if we can, with different guests. It was great to have Ricky to appear today as our first guest, and we're really grateful to him and for his time. But we're planning to share some different ideas around creating 5-star resorts and helping you and your teams grow and achieve success for 2026. But without further ado, there's nothing more from us to say. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your attention today. We really appreciate it. It's lovely to see so many of you. We wish you all a fantastic Christmas and to enjoy yourself some safe time with family and friends and enjoy those experiences. Maybe there's a few people that will be creating some family members with different experiences based on what Ricky said. And as I say, we'll share some slides as a result from today. But really, again, Ricky, huge thank you for your time, your expertise and your knowledge, and for Ben as well for what you shared today. Really useful. And thanks everyone so much, guys, for being here. We look forward to having another webinar and catching up with you really soon. But take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.